If you know what you want to change in your life but still don't take action, it's not a motivation issue. It's a critter brain issue. And once you understand that, everything changes. People tell themselves, I'm lazy, I'm not disciplined, I need to work harder. Yeah, maybe some of those things are true, but if effort alone worked, you would have changed already. The truth is, our brain and nervous system are working exactly the way that they were designed. What we call the critter brain is that first layer of our brain that developed evolutionarily. The one main job of this brain is to keep us alive and safe, not happy, not fulfilled, just safe. If you think about what life was like 10,000 plus years ago, it's a lot different than how society is built nowadays. We used to hunt out in the wild for food, trying to protect ourselves from various threats, ferocious animals. And that's what our brains were originally developed to keep us safe from those types of threats. And that brain is still ingrained in us today. And over time and over years of evolution, we've just developed layers around it. So, what does that mean for us in society today? Any feeling of uncertainty, even if in the big picture it's positive, gets flagged as a potential threat to us. And so, if we're connecting back to some of the things we talked about in the last video, maybe that might mean getting in a new relationship, changing a career, right? Starting new habits, putting yourself out there. These are unfamiliarities to us, and it's difficult for our brain to differentiate if these are real threats or if they're just, new uncertainties and changes to us. When your brain senses uncertainty, your nervous system kicks in, thinking it's a potential threat, and your fight or flight response gets triggered. And so you might feel symptoms like tightness in your chest, racing thoughts, adrenaline, sweating. Maybe other forms over time might be procrastination, self doubt, right? It's not weakness, it's just your fight or flight response kicking in. And what happens is motivation, you try to use motivation to override biology, right? But the problem is that fear lives in your emotional brain, not the logical one. And so you try to calm yourself down by saying, just do it, you can do it. But instead of relaxing your nervous system, you're actually overwhelming it. And then you get to plateaus and then you can't get over that hump that you're trying to get through. The reason small steps work is because you're telling your nervous system and your brain this is safe. And every small action that you take makes the feeling of threat reduced. And every time that you're reducing the feeling of threat, you're slowly building trust in your brain. And over time, that trust becomes consistency, right? You're not forcing change. You're just telling your brain that change is survivable. Let's take, for example, you're someone who really is passionate about trying to work out and, get in shape and get this nice body that you're looking for. But you haven't really ever taken any actions towards that. You've never, for example, gone to the gym. So, you build up the motivation and you find this amazing workout plan, tells you to work out 3, 4 times a week, and it's gonna do it consistently and you'll get exactly where you want it to get. But you've never even gone to the gym, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But to your brain, you're like, how am I gonna go from not going to the gym ever to going 3, 4, 5 times a week? Right? It's not realistic. Okay, maybe you do, right? You go for a week, you go for 2 weeks, and then you get tired, you get overwhelmed, and you get tired. Instead, start with going 1 day a week, right? Start with something even less than that. Another easy thing that's going to help towards that goal of getting in shape. Again, the problem is everyone wants overnight transformation, right? They think, okay, yeah, I have this much time, like I want to get in shape in within 2 months, so I have to go to the gym every single day, right? I get it, but it's just not realistic, right? Let's take another example. You have been working a certain job for several years, 3, 4, 5 years, and now you want to change your job. That's a really big decision, a really big change that you're doing in your life. You worked the same job for 5 years. Now all of a sudden, with the snap of a finger, you're gonna go and change your job. That's scary. That's scary to your brain. So, what's an actionable step that you can take towards that big goal? Updating your resume, right? Something so small that yes, it's not going to get to that big change right away, but you take small actions step by step to make sure that you're not scared, you don't overwhelm your brain, and you actually putting in the work little by little, you get to that ultimate goal that you eventually want to get to. So if you've been stuck, stop asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Start asking yourself, what does my critter brain need to feel safe enough to move on? Or what are some small actionable steps that I feel comfortable implementing into my life weekly, daily, whatever that is for you, that's going to help me reach that ultimate goal that I'm trying to get to? This is the kind of work I help people do. And these are the kind of conversations and implementations I try to help people put into their lives. So more to come in future videos. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and thanks so much for watching.